Hey everybody, it's Gomedex and welcome back to another Premier Draft of Kaldheim. Here we have a really solid rare. It's also monocolored rare, so it doesn't commit us to two colors. I think this is a very easy pick one, pack one here. This is Dragonkin Berserker, 2 mana for a 2/2 first strike human Berserker. Berserker is a relevant creature type in this format. There are a lot of Berserkers and a tiny bit of Berserker tribal. Boast abilities you activate cost 1 less to activate for each dragon you control. That doesn't really matter, but it's a 2 mana 2/2 first strike on curve, which is already sweet, and then when you boast this card, which is you can use that ability only if it's attacked this turn, you're spending 5 to get a 5/5 dragon creature token with flying. So Dragonkin Berserker, an absolutely bonkers card, comes out on turn 2 as a 2/2. It can send in pretty easily sometimes if your opponent only has like a 2 toughness creature. And then alternatively, you just wait until turn 5 and you're at least spitting out a 5/5 flyer out of this thing. Really powerful card. Vengeful Reaper is a really solid black flyer. Death Touch Haste as well with the foretell versatility there. And the Giant's Amulet is nice as well. That is one of those equipment that you can create a creature and attach it with. The Elven Bow here in this pack is one of those as well. I think all of these equipment are super solid. So this is essentially a 3 mana creature. It's a 3 mana 2/3 reach, and then once that dies, you get to keep this equipment around later. So I think all of these are quite solid, and there was a Giant's Amulet in that last pack. I was just trying to point out some of the other powerful cards if our rare happened to suck in that pack. Luckily it did not. We got a really solid Dragonkin Berserker, and we're going to follow it up with just a great red removal spell. Demon Bolt is just very efficient, plus it has the foretell ability, so if you ever have the 2 extra mana during your turn, then you are able to hold this up on a later turn for only 1 mana, which is quite solid. Plus, if on turn 3 all you're wanting to do is Demon Bolt one of your opponent's creatures, you can even just foretell it during your turn, and then if they don't play something you want to bolt, then you don't cast it, and if they do, you can still cast it for the 3 like you would have done if you didn't foretell it there. So instants with foretell are really nice for that reason as well. I do like Basalt Ravager a lot. Most of the creatures in this format, as you can see from Dragonkin Berserker, are going to have 2 creature types. Dragonkin Berserker being a human Berserker, Basalt Ravager is a giant wizard, this Dusk Wielder is an elf Berserker. There are a lot of creatures in the format with 2 creature types, so it's not too hard to randomly have 2 creatures that share a type on the board when you cast your Ravager. And that's basically all you need for this to be super solid. A 4 mana 4/2 that comes into play. The absolute worst thing it does is 1 damage to any target when it comes into play because it counts itself. I think it's just really solid. And if you can get this up to like doing 3 damage when it comes into play, it's absolutely ridiculous. Obviously at its best in a Giants deck because it counts itself towards the amount of Giants you have, but even in just any deck, super solid card there. I do like the Breakneck Berserker here. We can just stay solidly in red. It's going to take a lot to get us to switch colors off of red with such a powerful rare as our first pick, the Dragonkin Berserker, plus all 3 of our red cards being very early picks. These are all really solid red cards, so I think I'm okay to take a more mediocre red card. Just a good filler aggressive card here, the 3 mana 3/2. Plus it's a Berserker, which helps out with the little bit of tribal that our Basalt Ravager wants us to have. So I'm fine with Breakneck Berserker here. We could also take Shimmerdrift Veil. This is a card that's going to get played in any 2 colors that we end up in, or if we end up 3 colors or something like that. It is the Evolving Wilds of the set, so it's a very solid, very pickable card here. Yeah, maybe it's actually the Veil here over the Berserker, but I don't know. I also like really cutting red here, so this pack I'm passing has just no red cards to make sure that the people on our left at least are probably not likely to get a lot of red stuff and are more likely to be passing us good red cards in the next pack. But I could definitely see the argument for the Shimmerdrift Veil out of that pack. So I like a lot of these red cards, and I like the white cards here, and there's a Boros card. Not a huge fan of the Forge Master. You do really have to draft around this with a lot of auras and equipments to do a lot with it, but at worst, even if you're not getting any value out of it, it's a 2 mana 2/2, which isn't bad. The white cards, Usher of the Fallen. This is really bad in the late game, but it's really powerful in the early game. So it's kind of risk reward, but a super solid card. And then the Valkyrie's just sweet at most points if we're taking a white card. We've got some decent red filler cards. I think I do want just like the Valkyrie here. That's probably my favorite white card of that pack, and the red cards aren't that insane there. I do like the Dwarven Hammer a lot. This is another one of those equipment that comes with a creature, so for 5 mana you're getting a 5/1 trample, and then this equipment giving +3/+0 and trample to any creature makes literally any creature that you draw for the rest of the game just a solid threat. If you draw a 1/1, if somehow you're running 1/1s in your deck, all of a sudden top decking that in the late game is not so bad when you have a Dwarven Hammer on the field, because then you've just top decked a 4/1 trample if you suit it up with the Dwarven Hammer. So I think this is a very solid, very nice equipment. There's also Dwarven Reinforcements, which is fine for going wide. And I like Axeguard Braggart. I like its boast ability quite a bit. Divine Gambit is really not a removal spell you want to play in an aggressive deck, and we're hoping, if we end up in Boros, to be somewhat aggressive. I like Fearless Pup quite a bit. 1 mana for a 1/1 first striker, and its boast ability is a really good ability to threaten to use. It allows you to attack into creatures with up to 3 toughness really easily. Your opponent will almost never block it. That being said, you're only getting in like 1 damage every time you do. So you do want some cards that like care about you boasting for it to be really good, but other than that, we've got the little pump spell here, or Forging the Tyrite Sword. It just searches your deck for an equipment, basically. You get a couple treasures to maybe help ramp you up, then you can grab an equipment with it. I guess we have a Dwarven Hammer to pick up, so that's not terrible. I think I like the pup a little better. Maybe overvaluing the pup there, but that's fine. So in red-white, there's not a ton. In just red, I guess we only have 1 white card here, so we're not 100% sure we're white. But either way, there's just not a ton of red stuff that cares about snow, so I'm not really inclined to take the Snow Mountain here over the Firewalker, and I do like the Firewalker's boast ability a lot. At worst, you get to send this in and just trade off with something, and then like draw 1 card off of it from the boast ability, and if you can send in with this multiple turns in a row, it's just absurd. Just repeatedly drawing cards off the top of your library. So not bad at all. Warhorn Blast is good if you're going pretty wide. So for grabbing cards like the Dwarven Reinforcements, that would be a good card to pick up. Then Wings of the Cosmos is cute because it does a lot of things. You can give flying to get evasion when you need it. You can untap your thing to surprise block something. And you're also getting +3 toughness, so like all of a sudden your 3/2 is going to beat their 4/4. Yeah, I think I'll take the Wings of the Cosmos over the Warhorn Blast. It also helps you cast 2 spells in 1 turn more often for any of the cards that care about that. And there are some cards that care about casting 2 spells in 1 turn in white, and some cards that care about casting 2 spells in 1 turn in black. So those are the main colors for that. So we might get some random 2 spells per turn synergies in white here. And Scorn Effigy is just really good at triggering that stuff because you can foretell it on turn 2, and then on turn 3 you cast it for free. So it's really easy to cast 2 spells in 1 turn when you have a free spell to cast later. It's like the Effigy there. Here I like Infernal Pet because I think it'll go solid in the white-black double spell deck if we end up that. I guess I have so much... Yeah, actually, I have so much red that maybe Village Rites would be better, because if we end up in black-red, we can have a little bit of a Rakdos sacrifice theme. There are active treason effects in the set to steal one of your opponent's creatures temporarily, and there are some token producers, like our Hammers making a 2/1 Dwarf, and Dwarven Reinforcements that we saw earlier would make some tokens off of that. Alright, Firewalker and Cavalry still in this pack is a really good sign for red, because these are both just solid playables. Not anything exciting, but fine playables. Yeah, I like the Firewalker first. Maybe I like that card a little too much, but I do like the card. Red-white is looking like a fine color scheme to be in here. Mystic Reflection is a fun rare. You can use this when your opponent plays like a big bomb creature or bomb planeswalker to turn it into whatever the weakest creature on the board is, and it's pretty cheap to cast for only 2 or just 1 mana if you foretold it, so that is a fun card. That being said, it is blue, and I'm not really likely to jump into blue for just that here. I think I'm just taking the Fearless Liberator, just a really solid boast ability. We can drop this down on turn 2, and if our opponent doesn't curve out with a 2-mana blocker on turn 2, maybe they just foretell a card or something, then we can then curve out by just attacking in with this and spitting out a 2/1 Berserker. So this is really solid if you can get more than one token out of it, and even if you only get one, it's pretty fine. So I like the Fearless Liberator there. We have a snow-covered mountain, a Warhorn Blast, a bunch of mediocre stuff, maybe like an Immerstrom Raider, just a little 2/1. Discard a card, draw a card. Some great green cards in here. Realm Walker, 3 mana 2/3 when it enters the battlefield. Choose a creature type. You can look at the top card of your library at any time, and you can cast creature spells of the type from the top of your library. So it essentially draws you some cards if you're, like in this deck, if we were red-green, we'd choose Berserker, because pretty often we could try to cast a Berserker off the top. Rootless U is great in a slower deck that has the toughness 6 or greater creature to pick up when this dies. Spirit of the Alderguard is good in a snow deck. Right now we don't have like any snow, so that might be a really bold pick if we take that. I do think I want to take one of the green cards here. I mean, they're the most solid cards in this pack. Maybe even just the Slumber Mound, because that would be for red-green, and it's a very solid sacrifice ability on that land. I guess I'm going to take the Realm Walker. We could try to be like green-red Berserkers. It would be weird, but maybe it happens. Ooh, no. We've got some solid stuff here. I'm going to have to choose between a really solid creature and a really solid removal spell. So Clarion Spirit, 2 mana for a 2/2. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, you're creating a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. That's just really good. If you trigger this only once, you've spent 2 mana for a 2/2 and a 1/1 flyer, which is just an incredible rate. And if you can double spell more than one times with this card, it just really goes off, and it's absolutely insane. That being said, as I said before, it is really good to have interaction with whatever your opponent's doing, and Demon Bolt is one of the really efficient ways to kill their creatures. With 4 damage at only 3 mana, I think I'm going to take the Clarion Spirit here. I just really like that card. Might be a bold choice there, but I'm going to go with it. So we don't have any random life gain, but I do think that Cosmos Elixir is just a generally quite powerful card. Even by itself, I think it's probably okay. We definitely want to try to pick up the 2 mana 2/2 lifelinkers to go with this thing, but this is a 4 mana artifact, so it's a bit slow because it's a 4 mana artifact that doesn't do anything immediately, but at your end step you gain 2 life, and then any end step in which you have more life than your starting total, you're drawing a card every turn. So if you can have more than your starting life total, this card is really good and like near unbeatable, because then you're drawing 2 cards a turn. The problem is you have to get there. If you don't get there, spending 4 mana for a card that just gains you 2 life every turn is not good in most decks. So I'm going to speculate on that pick. If I can pick up a lot of the just 2 mana 2/2 lifelinkers, that is a card I would run. But if not, I don't think I want to run it without any support. I like the red-white dual land here, just Alpine Meadow. Cinderheart Giant is just a very expensive creature, and Code Spell Cleric is just pretty tiny, generally. Doesn't do a ton. What do we have now? I like the Gold Maw Champion. This is pretty good later on in the game, tapping down your opponent's blockers to send in your whole field. Svella's a really sweet card, though, and it's cool to see it that late. Maybe we try to hop it on green with the Realm Walker into that. How solid is our white? We got Shieldmate, Clarion Spirit, Stalwart Valkyrie. All 3 of these I'm pretty happy to have. I guess mainly just Clarion Spirit and Stalwart Valkyrie, so it's really 2 white cards that I'm really happy with. Yeah, Svella is just kind of insane. You know, I'm going to take Svella there. I guess I'm not that insanely in on the white, and now we just have another mediocre white card, nothing in red, so we can take Horizon Seeker. Maybe pushing back into red-green instead. Immersturm Raider will definitely get played because we're definitely playing red, or Tormentor's Helm will probably get played, just a really solid, efficient equipment. +1/+1 for only 1 to equip and 1 to play, plus you're dealing damage to your opponent off of stuff. Could take the Tyrite Sword, but that's only getting played in red-white. I think I want to take one of these 2 red cards. Yeah, I'm fine with the Raider here. Another Svella? Alright, goodbye, white. Wow, and now we get the Notvold Slumber Mound wield. Yeah, these Gruul cards are just generally stronger than the white stuff we had going on. Svella's just crazy. 3 mana for a 2/4 is just a really sturdy blocker, and for 3 mana you can tap this and make an Icy Manalith to help ramp up into big stuff. We're not doing a lot of ramping in this deck, but you got to read the other half of the card that makes that good just no matter what. You can spend 8 mana, tap this, look at the top 4 cards of your library, and cast one of them for free. So kind of a mini Golos effect, where Golos is like exiling the top 3 and you cast all of them. This is you're looking at the top 4 and you're casting one of them, which is really solid and limited on just an uncommon. So Svella's just a great, great card, and we're happy to have that. So I guess we are going to be Gruul here. Definitely kind of hop and ship a little bit there. Well, I am still taking random just white playables. I don't think Arachnoform is very good. 2 mana for +2/+2 on an enchantment. It's just really easy to get 2 for 1 trying to cast that. There's a decent amount of good, cheap removal at common in most colors. I'm not going to run Shackles of Treachery without any ways to sacrifice things, so we'll take that really late Gold Meadow champion. Just in case. What do we have here? I like the Frostbite. How much removal do I even have? Not a lot right now, right? I have Demon Bolt. I have literally Demon Bolt and Basalt Ravager, so I think I'm just taking the Frostbite. Just a little shock effect. 1 mana instant speed, 2 damage to something. Helps clear out early blockers to get your stuff in, or to help protect you in the early game. I think I like that better than another Liberator here, because we are real low on removal. We just have Demon Bolt and Ravager. Yorn would be good if we can pick up a lot of Snowlands, but this is literally pack 3, so I don't think that's incredibly likely. They are fun with Svella, but I'm just going to take the Frostbite. Kind of want to take another Basalt Ravager. This card just seems pretty sweet. I've got a lot of Berserkers running around. I got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 Berserkers. I have 2 Giants now. Some humans, some dwarves. This could very often do like 2 damage. Seems pretty solid. Scoop up the Basalt Ravager. Other cards in here. Craven Hulk, a 4 mana 4/4. Even if it can't block alone, it's just a solid attacker. And then Struggle for Skemfar is a really nice card. It's Hunt the Weak with a Foretell ability, so you don't even have to cast it for the whole 4. So 4 mana +1/+1 counter on a creature, and then you fight something. Or, if you foretell it earlier, you get to cast it for only 1 green later, so this is a really solid card. But we're taking Basalt Ravager over it. Here, a Squash. How many Giants do I have? I have 2 Basalt Ravagers, so I have 2 Giants right now. I have the, where's that green rare? There's Realmwalker. I have the Changeling, so I have 3 Giants in here to help cast Squash for only 2. I guess right now I have one removal spell that does 2 damage to something, 1 that does 4, so we could pick up the one that does 6, just to have something that can kill really big things. That being said, I am passing up on another Liberator. There are a lot of those running around. I'm going to take the Squash here. Don't think we're going to end up being able to run the Cosmos Elixir, but that card, I think it is just generally quite a high potential card. I do like Changelings in this deck, now that I have double Ravager and a Squash that care about Changelings. So I kind of like just taking the 2 mana 2/2 Guardian Gladewalker that is all creature types. We could also take the Haji Mob to have something late game to drop out. Right now we only have the Dwarven Hammer in terms of late game creatures. I guess we also have Knotbolt Slumbermound kind of counts, but I like scooping up a Changeling here. Ooh, we've got some choices here. Breakneck Berserker, another 3 mana 3/2 haste Berserker. Craven Hulk, 4 mana 4/4 Giant. Rootless Yew. I don't think I have anything with toughness 6 or greater, so the Yew probably is not going to be the pick. It's going to be a 5 mana 5/4. Doesn't do anything when it dies in this deck. Yeah, I'll scoop up a Craven Hulk, I think. Just a 4/4 decent, beefy attacker. It's also a Giant to help out with the little bit of Giant Tribal with Basalt Ravager and Squash. Take another Craven Hulk. I could take a Masked Vandal for another Changeling. This also gives me main deckable Artifact and Enchantment hate. Or I could take a Snow-Covered Mountain for Frostbite. This fella doesn't need any snow stuff. She just happens to be a snow card. Yeah, Vandal, Craven Hulk, even Elderleaf Mentor would be probably fine here. I think I'm going to scoop up the Craven Hulk. Just move into a weird little red-green giant sub-theme. Another Berserker. Right now, don't really want to play Seize the Spoils. But everything else here is like a 3 mana creature except the Demon Bolt. I think we're doing good at 3 mana. Kind of want to just take the duel. Get some mana fixing in here. Don't have any runes for the Ruined Crown, but if you have some runes, this card is pretty fun. But since we don't, I guess we're taking an Immerstrom Raider. Another Tuskeri Firewalker, another Craven Hulk, or these green cards are pretty not great. 3 mana for a 4/2 is always a hard sell because it trades down into 2 mana creatures, because most 2 mana creatures are like 2/1s or 2/2s that could just kill that. I think I'm going to take another Firewalker. Firewalker, I mean, it does the same by only having 2 toughness on a 3 mana card. You are just trading down into 2-drops, but you're trading down into a 2-drop and drawing a card from the boast ability a lot of the time. So you're still basically up a card in that exchange, even if you're down a little bit, trading down into a smaller creature. I don't know why I took the Snowland. I should have just taken the random little +1/+1 counter spell. Not that it does a lot, I'd probably end up cutting it here. I guess I can take that now, but I guess I'd rather take the Haji Mob. I don't have a lot of big old creatures at the top end of this curve. And we get a Breakneck Berserker, seems fine. Take the pretty sick non-basic. This one makes your opponent discard a card and take some damage. Yeah, pretty nice. That one's really easy to play around though, because you can only do it at sorcery speed, and it comes into play tapped, so your opponent just always knows that this is coming up. So they can just hold some card that they don't care about to discard. So this might be one of the weaker non-basics. I really like the Notvolt Slumber Mound. Big old 4/4 trample out of your land is just solid stuff. So I only need to cut 3 cards, which is super nice. That's going to make the deck building process much easier than usual. Probably cutting Cosmos Elixir. We just don't have any life gain in this deck, and I think any game in which this just sits there gaining me life, it's just not going to be exciting at all. That being said, I mean, if we get to draw double cards off of this, that is so good. I don't actually know. Got a lot of creatures. I could just cut 3 creatures, have 18 here. Scorn Effigy doesn't really do anything in this deck. We're not double spelling anymore because we're not red-white or red-black, so we're not any of the colors that care about double spelling. So this is a 2 mana 2/3, but it's a slow 2 mana 2/3. It's a 2 mana 2/3 with double Summoning Sickness, basically, because you spend 2 mana and then you wait another turn and then it comes out on the field and then it still has to wait 1 more turn before it attacks. Yeah, seems like just not what we're looking for. We'll cut the Scorn Effigy. 2 more cuts to make. I kind of want to try running the Cosmos Elixir for the first game or 2, and if it comes up, we'll see how well it does. I guess it is just like a really bad draw in the late game, too. Yeah, no, I don't think this is an Elixir deck. I don't know. I am gonna cut it there. Cut 1 more card. Probably cutting one of these 3 mana cards. I got a lot going on at 3. Probably one of the Breakneck Berserkers, actually. I don't think I need to get in incredibly aggressively with this deck. Because I can do some really good value plays, drawing cards off of my Firewalkers, playing Ravagers that come out as creatures and kill one of their creatures, and then trying to spin the wheel off of my Sphellas in the late game. Yeah, I think I can take out one of my little hasters here. Then we've got a 40-card deck. Fearless Pup, I guess, is a little weird in this deck. We didn't end up with anything that actually cares about how many times we're boasting. I just think Fearless Pup is really good with the 2 mana 2/2 that gets a +1/+1 counter every time you boast. Or if you're like really, really aggressive. Maybe I actually cut the Fearless Pup and put the Berserker back in. Or even the Elixir back in or something. I'm gonna keep it as is here. Let's grab some Kaldheim basics and get into some gameplay. There's 9 forests, or 9 mountains, and here's our 6 forests. I will be double checking my mana here, but that seems pretty accurate. We are not running a lot of green cards. 20 red symbols and 5 green. I've got 10 red sources and 6 green sources. That seems about right. Green is basically just a splash here. I guess splashing in a 2-drop does not seem great, so maybe I should cut like these two and just put a couple red cards back in, and we're just splashing in Svelas and the Realm Walker. Yeah, I could throw in another Berserker here over like the Horizon Seeker. And then almost all my creatures are like Berserkers. Just cut out on more green cards? Sure. The 2-drop is pretty awkward for our less played color to have a card that we want to play on turn 2. But I don't actually see anything in my sideboard I really want to put in instead of that. Because I want all of these 2-mana cards. I want like that many 2-mana cards, I feel. Alright. This looks pretty acceptable. I like the pivot into red-green off of this deck. Nice, solid little Gruul Beaters deck. Gruul Berserkers, really. But the only thing we have that actually cares about the fact that all our creatures are Berserkers is the Giant Wizard, and it doesn't care what creature types they are as long as they share creature types. But having 2 of those, I could see a lot of games where we just have a really solid curve. You know, on turn 2 we play our 2/1 Berserker, turn 3 we play our 3/2 Haste Berserker, and then all of a sudden turn 4 we play our Basalt Ravager and do 2 damage to one of their blockers. Just keep bashing in with some Berserkers. Seems like a pretty solid deck. I'm excited to see how this one runs. But I suppose I always end. I'm hoping for like 4-3 with this. Don't expect a 7-win run or anything with this like I had with my first Gruul deck during the Early Access live stream. But this looks alright, looks pretty solid. I like having the non-basic land to cycle in the late game to turn it into just a big old 4/4 trample, blow a thing up. Alright, here we are in round 1. I've got the turn 2 Immerstrom Raider into the turn 3 Breakneck Berserker with a Frostbite to back it up, blowing up one of their blockers. I'm going to keep this. If I get flooded pretty hard, my second Immerstrom Raider can discard a land. I guess if I just draw a land on turn 1 and turn 2, then the first one will also be discarding a land. Alright, well that's a good sign to actually be drawing cards off of the Immerstrom Raiders. Got 4 mana here. My curve stops at 3 in this hand. I think I am discarding a land here. And I don't ever need double green, so we'll just get rid of one of those. Forests. Ooh. Double Breakneck Berserker coming up. If our opponent does not have some decent early game blockers, if they're just foretelling some cards here. Ooh, yeah, this is going to be a good start against theirs. I like the Berserker a decent amount just because a lot of the times in this format, some turn 2s will end up just being foretelling cards and not putting out a blocker that could block the Berserker. Rune of Mortality to draw a card because they really need to cycle it and draw into the right color of mana or they're on a really quick clock here, so I understand the play from my opponent. As weird as it looks for us, they need to get something out or they're just dead to this this hasty start, and I guess that's game 1. Alright. Oh, that was probably like 1 minute. Definitely an unfortunate game for my opponent, but that was a pretty great hand to punish a mana screwed start from our opponent there. Getting multiple of the 3/2 hasters to just really start swinging. So let's head into round 2 here. We're 1-0, off to a good start thus far. My last Gruul deck had a lot more explosive plays and some crazy rares in it. That was during the live stream on the Twitch channel. Twitch keeps the videos of the video recordings of all the live streams for a couple weeks, so if you want to see a bunch more drafts while you're waiting for the next daily draft video, you could always just check out the old Twitch videos over on the Twitch channel. But yeah, I had like the legendary squirrel rare that draws cards whenever you're hitting your opponent, and I had this elf rare that spits out elves whenever you play another elf. So we were just getting a million elf tokens and then drawing a ton of cards by sending in there. It was pretty nice. So we're against blue-green at least. Sometimes you will see these dual lands getting played just for the snow mana for things like Pilfering Hawk that need a snow mana. But with a Horizon Seeker out as well, I expect my opponent is genuinely just at least 3 color here. Kind of like Realm Walker on Berserkers, because that allows us to play Basalt Ravager next turn and blow up one of their 2 toughness creatures, of which they have multiple. Breakneck Berserker would allow us to do that too, if they don't just trade off of the attack. Kind of like going for a long game, getting a lot of value off of Realm Walker here. Got a land on top, alright. Definitely not blocking here. Spirit of the Alderguard, it is. Oh dear. So they grab a snow-covered forest for that. So once they play that, that'll be a 4/4 coming at me. Kind of want to just Demon Bolt that. Can't Demon Bolt that and do anything else this turn. I guess I could play Basalt Ravager, kill their Horizon Seeker, and hold up a 4/2 to just block and trade with the Spirit. That seems pretty solid too. I'm gonna roll with that here. Could have killed the Pilfering Hawk to lower the Spirit's power, but we're planning on just blocking and trading with the Spirit anyway. So unless they remove our Basalt Ravager from the board, we're not like preventing any more damage by doing that. But maybe we just want them to not be able to loot with the Pilfering Hawk. But it seems like they're just sending it in every turn anyway. We'll see if we trade here. Maybe they've got a Pump Spell or something. If they do, we have the Demon Bolt to kill the Spirit later. Looks like we did get the trade. Get that Spirit Bear off the board. And here's a Frostpeak Yeti. They can give that unblockable for 1 snow and 1 more mana. So we'll probably Demon Bolt that. Kind of want to just cast a Breakneck Berserker and foretell the Demon Bolt though. I can take the damage for a second here, and they're not gonna. Well, I mean, I want them to trade with the Berserker, but they're not going to. All right, yeah, we'll foretell the Demon Bolt. Do that next turn. I take 4 this turn maximum, down to 10. I'm pretty safe to hold off on the Bolt here, so I can actually get some aggression against my opponent. Actually, crack back a little bit. No blocks. There's the 6th land from our opponent. Hopefully they're a bit flooded. Augury Raven coming out. Ooh, I've got a Slumber Mound on top. That'll be good later. Man, it does really suck to play a Realm Walker, and then because it shows you what's on top, you just know that you're just maximum flooded. It's just literally always a land on top so far. That does hurt. Now I'm taking... Oh my god, I'm taking 4, 5, 6, 7 next turn if I don't kill one of their things. I think I can hold off on the Demon Bolt until they attack, because that'll get them to dump 2 mana into the Yeti to make it unblockable. But then I'm probably just killing the Yeti. But we can kill the Yeti after they spend the mana into it. Cravenhold can't block alone, so I'd have to double block Yeti with my Realm Walker as well, with how we're drawing so far, I'm not so sure Realm Walker's going to ever draw us a card. This does leave me open to, if they have a removal spell for Realm Walker, the Hulk just can't block, so they don't have to spend the Yeti mana to get unblockable. I'm just going to go for it. Since I'm already shooting the Yeti anyway, if they get me into a position where they don't have to spend the mana to make Yeti unblockable, then whatever, I was already going to kill it. But if they send in and try to do like the double block thing to kill my Realm Walker, I'm actually really happy with that, because then I can kill the Yeti and the Raven. And I think it's worth it, even if we are losing Realm Walker, to do that. Do I actually have any flyers in this deck, or just removal? I think I just have removal, actually. Yeah, I basically only have removal in this deck. I don't have anything with reach or flying. So I think we actually want to kill the Raven over the Yeti, because the Yeti makes them spend mana to attack with it every turn. And I have nothing in my deck that would block a flyer also, and the flyer they don't have to spend mana to attack with. Yeah, we'll shoot the Raven. Going down to 7 here. They have 4 unblockable damage a turn, so we're on a 2-turn clock after this. They are foretelling a card as well. Firewalker on top means I actually got to draw a card off of Realm Walker, which is pretty sweet. Come on out, my friend. Ooh, and the Hasty Berserker, draw 2, let's go. And I draw into Basalt Ravager to kill the Yeti. Well, pretend I never complained about the Realm Walker, because that paid off for every turn that I just had to land on top. That was insane. Opponent's down to 6 now. Opponent's down to 6 now. I got Basalt Ravager coming up next turn to blow up the Yeti. If they don't have a pump spell to just lethal me here, I'm fairly certain I just win. That was such a fantastic turn from the Realm Walker. And I actually have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 Berserkers, so I don't have enough to kill the Lindworm. But I can kill the Yeti. If I kill the Yeti and I attack with everything, they can block there, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Right? Block there, take 3, 6, 9, 11. Yeah. Oh my god. Realm Walker. I love you. That was absolutely fantastic work from this rare. Thanks to us having just drafted so many Berserkers. Getting the multiple last turn was wonderful stuff. Alright then. I was really worried that game. We were getting pretty low and they had some threats that we just couldn't block. Luckily we did start... we did get through the little land pocket and then just hit a Berserker pocket. That was great, great stuff. So we're at 2 wins and no losses with this Gruul Berserker's little aggro deck. I forgot about the Realm Walker, so I actually have the Basalt Ravagers that care about the little bit of Tribal and the Realm Walker as well to be able to cast Berserkers. That was fun. That was cool stuff. Realm Walker is a sweet card. Here we are in round 3 with a definite mulligan to start it off. Well, green is kind of our splash color, so we don't necessarily need both of our colors in our opening hand represented, so this doesn't seem that bad. I think I can keep this, get rid of the 5-drop. And then if I draw any lands, I'm discarding a land to the Raider. Because now we go Berserker, Berserker, and then Basalt Ravager to do 2 to something. And I've drawn into another Berserker, which is sick for the Ravager. Opponent is on green-black. Could be like green-black elves. we're not going to discard a card here, because I definitely want to keep my third land to play all these 3-drops, and I even want to hit a 4th land for the Ravager eventually. Seraph the Realm Eater. Oh, that's a scary way for my opponent to start. I guess we're trying to squash that eventually. So whenever one of our permanents dies, Seraph gets a +1/+1 counter, and at the beginning of their upkeep, they can remove all the +1/+1 counters on it to exile all other permanents that cost that much mana or less. So if this has 2 +1/+1 counters on it, not only is it a 5/5, but they can choose to remove those 2 counters during their upkeep to exile my 2 mana creature and all other 2 mana or less creatures. So really, really solid card. We're going to play a Haster into that, so I can just send in there. Just start a little race here. If they crack back with Seraph, I'll just not block, and then maybe I can get in with my Immerstrom Raider as well. Spirit of the Alderguard coming out here. Definitely not blocking. That would make Seraph the Realm Eater even bigger. Don't have the green mana for Svella, so the only thing I can really do here is play another Berserker. That's kind of what I want to do anyway, because now I have 3 Berserkers on the board, so if I hit the 4th mana for Ravager next turn, I can do 3 damage to Seraph and deal with that right there. Not only can I do that, I would deal with Seraph and have a blocker that is big enough to kill the Spirit of the Alderguard by itself. So we were really hoping they don't have removal here. They are green-black, so I suppose it is quite likely. And any removal spell with Seraph is going to be absolutely fantastic. I guess any non-exile removal spell. They could have the black 4-mana exile a creature planeswalker removal spell. Okay. I think we kind of have to just go for it. I could hold off another turn and just play a Firewalker. Because if I play Basalt Ravager and they respond with an instant speed removal spell, that does go pretty poorly for me, because then I'm only doing 2 damage. Don't actually know for sure what's better here, because I could see both of these lines blowing up in my face depending on what my opponent has. If my opponent has instant speed removal, then dropping down Basalt Ravager blows me out, but I also could kind of get blown out by instant speed removal by just playing the Firewalker, because then they like kill one of my cards, Seraph turns into a 4/4. I definitely don't swing in this position, that's for sure. I guess I'll play another Berserker. Because I'm hoping if they have instant speed removal, it would make sense if it was the double black and 2 more one that just exiles, so it doesn't technically destroy, so it's not going to put another counter on Seraph. That way, if they have the removal spell, sure, they can kill one of these so that I only have 3 Berserkers, but since Seraph doesn't get bigger, 3 Berserkers will still be enough to kill with Basalt Ravager next turn. Whereas if they do have that exile removal spell, and I cast Ravager right now instead of a Berserker, they get rid of one of my Berserkers, and then I only have 2 on the board to try to hit Seraph. And now they're tapped out. I'm definitely dropping Ravager this turn. Toski's really fun. I had a Gruul deck with Toski in it. And it can draw a lot of cards if you have some go-wide synergies, like the Elderleaf Mentor, just a little 4-mana 3/2. I kind of have to let them just draw a card here. I really don't love that. If they attack here, that's actually, yeah, really good for them. Because they don't know what's in my hand, so they wouldn't know that attacking is great for them here. But I know I need all these Berserkers. If I lose a single Berserker, then because one of my creatures died, Seraph would go to a 4/4 status, which would be too big to kill it, because then I'd be down 1 Berserker and it would be up 1 +1/+1 counter. Yeah, this is brutal. So they just get to draw a card there for free. If they didn't have the ability to draw cards there, then I'd absolutely just double block. Then I'd absolutely be fine letting the damage in, but the fact that they got to draw cards was not good for me. I think I'm sending those 2 in. We're trying to trade Ravager into the Spirit, and I want to hold up something that can block Toski without dying. And attacking with the 2/1 is really bad against Toski, because it can block with Indestructibility and just eat it. So we send these 2 in, I get in 3 damage. Definitely not going to exile the top card of my library. I just drew my forest that I really wanted to play for this, so if I spent that, I've already played a land this turn, so there's nothing in my whole deck I could cast. I'd just be milling myself one. Opponent's got 4 cards in hand. Hopefully they all suck. We'll see. We'll definitely see. Yeah, the Seraph was really brutal there, forcing me to just not do any of the blocks to make sure my Ravager could kill that thing. Because if I did a single block, that thing gets another +1/+1 counter, and I've got 1 less creature. All right, feed the Serpent on my Basalt Ravager, and a way down on Firewalker, so they know that they get to draw a card here. Oh, I don't know why. I guess they're scared about the crackback here. In that case, I mean, they can draw and then have 3 cards in hand. I have the mana for Squash, so I just squash their Spirit and send in for 8? Yeah, I guess I'm trying to just outrace their card advantage. Let's go. Get in for 8. They're down to 6. They are drawing a lot more cards than me, so this could go really poorly for me if they just draw into like some 4/4s and stuff and get some big blockers on this board. But we're just trying to kill them before they can dump out their whole hand of cards that they're drawing off the Toski. Toski does have to attack each turn if able, but you kind of just want to in that last position my opponent was in. With the double removal spell there, that was brutal. Drawn another card. Come on, not enough blockers. No blockers. All lands. Maybe. I doubt it. We'll see. Foretelling a card? Nope. 4 mana. 5 mana. 6 mana. What on earth is... Oh, a big old 3/7. Well, I hit him for 5. Okay. I still sent in with everybody then and hit him for 5, right? Hit him for 5, boast a card off the Firewalker. Shouldn't have played the land yet. That was dumb of me. What could I hit off the Firewalker that would just win? Not much. Most of what I can hit off the Firewalker is just going to be another attacker if it's not a land. Send in the squad. Go ahead and use this now, I think. Realm Walker? That is real solid. They go to 1 life now. Frostbite does 2 damage, so I can do 5 total to the rider. Not really going to work out. Yeah, Realm Walker's wonderful here. Did hit a Craven Hulk on top. Okay. So, not a Berserker. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 Berserkers still in the deck and only like 3 Giants. So, I was just double checking if I made the right play there by choosing Berserker over Giant. Oh, this mono removal deck, my god. So, they are going to draw another card here for sure. But they need another blocker too, because they've got 2 attackers. Toski doesn't get to block, Toski has to attack. I guess they get to, yeah, they get to scry 2, set up the draws, make sure that they hit a creature there. That's pretty solid. Oh, they did that in their upkeep. Okay. So that they were choosing what they were drawing for the turn. Didn't really matter because they could have done that off of the Toski attack as well. But maybe if they're trying to hit a pump spell or something to just deal lethal, that would have mattered. Of course, I can't Frostbite the Toski. It's got Indestructible. You just can't kill this squirrel. Can't even counter it. So hopefully they only have 1 more blocker and it's 2 or less toughness. 7 mana out. just another removal spell. That's really bad for me. I get to play 2 creatures this turn. Oh, I don't. I'm 1 mana off from playing both of these. I only need to hit them for 1, so it doesn't matter how big my creature is, so I should just play the one that can block. Even if they kill the Immerstrom Raider, my Svella can still block. This starts hitting me for 3 damage a turn. So they start trying to close out the game with that ability. Definitely don't send in here. Down to 8. They need another creature. Or a removal spell. I think I have to just block here. If they have a pump spell, that goes poorly for me, but if I don't block, I'm just giving them another chance to draw a creature if they haven't drawn one already. Oh my god. Alright. They've drawn an insane creature. 4 mana for a 4/4. Now whenever one of my creatures dies, it gets exiled and they can cast it on their side of the field. Just insane. Really good card in this position. I could make a Manalith out of Svella. If I make a Manalith out of Svella for 3, then I do that and play a Craven Hulk. I think I'd rather just play more creatures. Boy. Really hoping we're wide enough here. They need 2 more creatures now. Because I have 4 creatures that can attack. They only have 2 that can block. Alright, that draws a card when they play it. That helps a lot. For our opponent, doesn't help us a lot. Helps them draw into another creature. Trying to see if maybe they have lethal, because they're looking at their grave. They don't have any creatures in grave, so they're not doing any damage with Dread Rider. If they have any removal spell, that's going to be really bad, because that Necromancer. Stop them from drawing a card so they can't draw into another creature, hopefully. There's the other creature. Dwarven Hammer for trample. Hey there. But they have a 3/7. So if I throw trample on something, I can throw trample on my 4. Then I have 7 trample. So they block with the 3/7 there and block everything else. But then if I frostbite as well, I can win. I think we're getting to the point where I can't really just pass. I don't have enough mana to play this and equip it and hold up Frostbite, which is actually brutal, because I need to be able to equip this and Frostbite to win. Because yeah, I go to 7 power trample, but then they block there. And then the other blocks they have are just great. This does not create a Berserker that's attacking them, so that doesn't help. I suppose I just play this as another attacker for next turn. Oh my god. This is a sweaty game. I only have 1 snow permanent right now. I'd only have 2 if I made a Manalith here, so Frostbite only does 2 damage. If I get Frostbite up to 3 damage, I can kill the Packmate with it. The problem is I really have to have lethal when I swing in because of the Necromancer letting them cast all of my own creatures on their field, because they can spend snow mana as though it's any color, and they have 3 snow mana, so they could play, 3 red to be able to play Liberator and Raider and Hulk and just have a million blockers. if I attack it and kill some other creatures and don't get lethal. Also, if they have any removal spells, those are really good for them at this point. I guess they would have to block with every single creature if I sent in. So I'd be able to kill their Necromancer in response with the Frostbite. Burning Rune Demon. Alright, well, we just got Bomb Mythic'd. We are super SOL here. Because they get any 2 cards out of their deck, I throw one into the grave, the other goes into their hand, so they definitely get another blocker after that as well. I guess they only have 17 cards left. It's not unreasonable that they wouldn't have 2 more relevant, like, good blockers. Oh my god. That's so horrible for me. Good god. They hunt the weak something, kill one of my cards, and they can cast it on their field later. Or they just gain a bunch of life. Or I lose a bunch of life. Oh, this sucks. Whatever, get the really big booty blocker and make me cry all the way home. They're going to have 6 blockers against my 5 attackers. Just not going to work out here. We still have outs, technically. I have another Demon Bolt in my deck. Demon Bolt would win. What, a Breakneck Berserker would win. I've got one of those still in here, that Haster. But that's pretty much it at this point. How much life do they even gain here? I don't actually know. I didn't do the math. It's probably too much to actually even win with a Breakneck Berserker. We will find out. But now I have 1 turn to kill them or I die to the burning thing. They gain 2? Okay. I actually still don't... I don't win with a Breakneck Berserker now because I only get in for 2. One of my 2 drops gets through. Well, I get to try. Basalt Ravager. I've got 1, 2... I have 3 Berserkers out. I kill 1 blocker with that. I can't kill their frickin' demon. I guess they don't die unless they have a creature in their graveyard. Because demon hits me for 6, they draw another card, but then I'm still at 2 unless they can use this ability. Could kill their Necromancer with Basalt Ravager plus Frostbite. Maybe that's worth it. Basalt Ravager plus Frostbite to kill the Necromancer and then try to get in for lethal next turn. Because this turn I have 5 attackers, they have 6 blockers. I can't kill 2 creatures off of Ravager plus Frostbite here. No, if I shoot... Oh my god, no. If I shoot down a creature, then they have... Shoot. Actually, if I kill a creature here, they have a creature in grave to use Dreadrider's ability to kill me with. So I have to just win right now or kill nothing? 3, 4, 5, 6 attackers. Oh, it hits face! Oh my god, I won because I timed out. Oh. Basalt Ravager hits Any target. I don't even know how it works when you time out. It probably just hits like a random target. That may have been the luckiest thing that I will ever do in Kaldheim. If it does hit a random target, then there were like 12 freaking targets it could have hit. Oh my god, it is... I'm so glad that I won that way though, because now I know and I will remember that you can shoot your opponent in the face with the berserkers. I'm trying to think, did I have a berserker earlier that I could have shot my opponent in the face for lethal at that time? Maybe. I think I did have a berserker earlier in that game, but I feel like it was early enough they still had a lot of life. I'll have to think back on that. I'm not sure. Either way, 3-0 so far, I'll take it. Pretty great start to this draft. What an absolute bonkers draw. That was wonderful. Okay, yet again, we are much heavier into red than green, so we're okay with not having the green mana immediately. We got a 2-mana Berserker, 3-mana Berserker, followed by a Basalt Ravager, which can deal damage to players as well. It's important to keep that in mind. I definitely didn't just forget that last game. So we'll play the Fearless Liberator here. I'm gonna start zooming in on every card that I play and reading them in the downtime, so that I know that I'm learning the cards properly. Yorn, God of Winter is pretty terrifying. Whenever it attacks, untap each snow permanent they control. They currently have 1 snow land, so they attack with it and ramp up next turn. I'll play a 3-2, and I'll offer the trade if they send in, but even then they get to play a basic here, tap 4 mana, tap a 5th there. I guess they could only use that mana on instants because they can't actually ramp like up to 4 mana here because they can't spend 3 then untap that and spend the 4th because they can't carry the mana over during their phases. But they can like double spell here where now they're going to cast something else. I think I take that trade because I don't even know if I get to cast Ravager next turn because I don't know if I'll hit a land here. We'll block the Yorn. Get that out of here. Stop them from getting extra mana every turn. Does let them foretell something because they untapped their 2 tapped snowlands, which is pretty nice. Looks like no foretell cards for our opponent. Should I offer the trade with the Berserker or just play a 3-2 on blocks? I'll offer the trade. Send in a Breakneck Berserker. I am a trade offering machine over here. Would you like to swap creatures? The answer is yes. I may end up using Immersturm Raider to discard my Svella, just to try to draw a mountain here. It'd be a little awkward, but it could happen. Okay, not if I hit a green source. Definitely not if I hit a green source. Now we might be on the Craven Hulk plan, a big old 4-4 to crack into over that 2-3. All of my other creatures get blocked by it well. They all have 2 toughness maximum, except for Svella. But Svella's a pretty slow card. We're just going to sit here making manaless when I play that. We'll just play a 4-4 that can send in. So now I'm definitely playing all the lands I can get so I can get close to the 8-mana ability on Svella, so I don't think I'm discarding anything to Immersturm Raider, so that was the land play there. Still could have waited till main phase 2. I think I'm just sending in the Craven Hulk, and then I'll see what I want to do after this. Alright, just take 4, sure. I guess I will just play a Svella then, because if they're going to keep this 2-3 on the board, I'm not going to be sending in with any of the other creatures. So I can just play this, start getting some mana rocks. This would be a fun commander. It just spits out a Manalith every turn. People like Manalith. Manalith's a fun card. We're also ramping up to be able to use our Slumber Mound pretty soon, which will be good. Blow up one of their snow lands and get a 4/4 trample. So I have a Troll Warrior, a Giant Coward, and a Dwarf Berserker. So if I play Basalt Ravager, I'm dealing 2 damage to something. Because I'll have 2 Giants out. Yeah, let's kill the Boreal Outrider. Oh, I should have used Svella to make a Manalith and then used the Manalith to play that. Because 3 mana to make a Manalith, then I have 4 mana up, so I could have done that instead, but I guess now I'm just playing Immerstrom Raider. Yeah, I definitely should have made a Manalith there. I guess you can send in, but they probably just block. They're not gonna think that I've got anything set. Oh no! Okay, that makes me feel a lot less bad. I actually got some damage out of doing that instead. Nah, I'll hold on to the Immerstrom Raider. So I can discard a land later in the game to draw something else, and just in case they have a Wrath effect, there are actually multiple Wrath effects in black, like such. Who looks smart now? I do. So I could have just played a Troll there, if I play the land and then sacrifice that, but I kind of prefer just dumping these 2 things out, so I'm drawing more cards, and oh, I could just get in right here for 3, put them down to 11. Do I want to hit him for 3, or do I want to set up to draw more cards? I really want to set up to draw more cards to try to get out of the like 4-for-1 they got on me there. Oh, they've got the land to do a -2/-2 to a thing and get some elves, too. In Search of Greatness. Oh, boy. I think this is going to kill me. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may cast a permanent... from your hand. Okay, I thought this was one that searches them from your library. That's actually not bad. Cast a permanent from your hand with converted mana cost equal to 1 plus the high converted mana cost of other permanents you control if you don't scry one. So just scries 1 every turn. That's still solid. It'll set up all their draws. Let's just cut them off mana before they untap. Take their only blue source, I guess. Just in case they want it. We'll start attacking with a 4/4 trample on this board. Our opponent scries to the bottom. And an Infernal Pet has hit the board, which means they have enough power. With another Elven Bow, they easily have enough power to double block and kill my 4/4 troll. Just double block it with Infernal Pet and the 2/3, and I only kill 1. Demon Bolt's a good draw. Definitely looks less suspicious if I drop down the Breakneck Berserker and then attack with both than if I just send in the 4/4. So I'm going to do this and maybe get a nice 2-for-1 with my Demon Bolt on the 4/4. Oh yeah. I guess I'm just getting a 1/1 out of this. But I'm trampling over for some damage too. They're down to a single 1/1, but they have 2 Elven Bows, so if they equip both of those, that'll be +2, +4. So they could have a 3/5 out. Is this a May ability? Oh, I guess they did need all that mana to be able to just double equip that. Alright, so they have a 3/7 blocker for my 4/4 trample. So we're kind of just waiting now. Do I play the Gladewalker even here? Is there a point? Not really. I guess they could have the Mind Rot kind of effect. I just want to make this a 5/5 trample. I honestly don't know. I'm just going to pass. I'm not sure what I'm going to want to have power and where. It all depends on what kind of like random burn I draw. Well, I should have made my 4/4 5/5. That's incredibly brutal. But now I get to make my 2/1 3/2 and still send in here. Which is fun. We're going to be discarding a land off this Raider if we draw a land. I guess since they're down to 8, there's an argument for just dropping it on this board. I don't think I want to do that, though. They draw another creature? They did scry one. Oh, no! Frostbite. 2 damage to 1 thing. I can block the Outrider and Frostbite it to kill it. Or I could just send into it, and I can just trump block things. Drawing to the top again, so they are just drawing straight gas here. Draugr Recruit is really good on an empty board. They can boast. It does cost a ton of mana to boast, but when they can boast on like an empty board, they're just repeatedly getting their best creature back out of their grave. So they get like their Yorn and their Outrider. Pretty sure they've got us this game. Yeah, we'll see what we draw into here. Just another land. That feels bad. We definitely took a line that didn't pan out well. It's definitely an incorrect line, not dropping down the Gladewalker to make my troll a 5/5, but we're probably still losing this game just because they're scrying one every single turn. But if I had a 5/5 on this board, I wouldn't be getting hit at this point still. We would just still be staring at each other. They'd just be drawing a lot better than me. Guess I have to chump block one of these now. And they pick their 3/3 that draws a card. That is definitely going to be it there. Definitely a long one, a well-fought game. That In Search of Greatness. Actually putting in a lot of work there. Scrying every turn, making sure they're hitting solid stuff. At the end there, when I'm over here just top-decking blind. So it is one of those games where like near the end it can feel like, oh, I'm getting mana flooded or I'm drawing 2/1s too late in the game, but that was by design, that game, because my opponent was able to scry one every single turn, so they got to set up their draws in a way to where they were not going to draw in that way. So that will be our first loss, 3 wins and 1 loss here. Definitely feel like we can bring this deck up to a 4-3 run. I'd be happy with that, so see if we can't grab our at least one more win here, so I can get my 1,400 gems out of this bad boy. Pretty solid hand. We've got both our colors. We've got an Immersturm Raider on turn 2. Probably not discarding a card off this thing. Yeah, we're just going to drop it out to curve out. But I really want my 3rd land. Realmwalker could potentially draw a bunch of Berserkers out of our deck. Do the crazy thing that it's done before. There's our 4th land too. Yeah, I like playing Realmwalker instead of Svella. Svella's just a lot slower. Turn 3 for our opponent. They are on Jund. They're going to Jund us out. Here comes a Horizon Seeker. Oh, looks like we've drawn a card out of a Realmwalker at least. Ooh, and a Basalt Ravager for next turn. Don't mind if I do. That seems real solid. They're going to trade their 3/2 Horizon Seeker for my 3/2 Haste. Seems fine. Basalt Ravager does 2 damage to something when I play it, so if they play a 2 toughness creature or less here, that will be beautiful. They do not. So I don't think that I'm playing Basalt Ravager here then. Probably just playing the Firewalker off the top. Yeah, because I mean there's 2 Giants on board, or there's 2 Wizards, or there's 2 Berserkers, with the way that Changeling works. Let's drop down a Firewalker. Just keep drawing cards off of the realm. Realm Walker. Oh, Carter makes my creatures attack into that? When Carter enters the battlefield, until your next turn, creatures opponents control attack each combat if able and attack a player other than you if able. Oh my god, I should have waited till main phase 2. That's so rough. There goes Realm Walker. Realm Walker was going to die no matter what, but I could have just Basalt Ravagered the Carter post-combat and killed that. That's pretty awkward. Back at it again, not reading the cards. So we have Grizzled Outrider from our opponent. I kind of want to just play a 5/1 trample against that. And then I'm making all of my small creatures like Immersturm Raider just real solid late game draws because I can just suit them up with the +3/+0. They can use their Tyrite Sanctum to throw a counter on Carter. Alright, well, now I've got 3 Berserkers. We're killing Carter. He has angered me by killing my Realm Walker. Throw a +1/+1 counter on something as well. Don't want to do that. Not particularly, I don't think. I guess I can throw a counter on Ravager so it can trade off with one of their 5/5s. Send in my 5/1. See if we trade or I get in for 5 here. Alright, a trade. So I've essentially traded a 2/1 for their 5/5. And now we'll set up another 5-power blocker if they're trying to get in with their Outrider. So Tyrite Sanctum allows them to spend 2 to make one of their legendaries a god and put a counter on it. So they could have done that on Carter whenever they had extra mana later in that game. So that's what I was talking about with that. Alright. The Hadji Mob is going to be really good against their 1 toughness creature. Because I get to attack in and just kill that. I guess they're putting 2 +1/+1 counters on one of their creatures on the second mode of the Saga. That'll be rough. I think I kind of want to put... Yeah, they're almost definitely going to put counters on the Avenger, right? To get it out of range of 1 damage stuff like the mob. So I kind of want to put the axe onto the Raider and I can just send in with my 5 power stuff here. And maybe I trade with both their creatures, but then I guess they draw 2, lose 2 life if that happens. But I am trampling over off of the Raider at least. I think I'm definitely sending that in. I'm fine trading for either one of those with that. Because it's just a 2/1 at the base level. Okay. They're just going to make a really big Outrider with the +1/+1 counters then. Drop down a Svella. If they want to crack into us, that's fine. I'm not moving the hammer over to be defensive. I'm just moving this hammer around on offense. The final mode of this, they gain life equal to the greatest power among creatures that they control. So if we have a way to get rid of this Outrider, we're going to want to try to do that. We're probably just suiting up Dwarven Hammer onto the Ravager if they don't kill our Ravager. And then they almost definitely have to block there because it's 8 trample damage. Well, Candlemaster. Candlemaster will trade with the Ravager on blocks there. I'm going to just no-block this, right? Because what happens if I suit up the hammer onto... I could suit up the hammer onto the Glade Walker, and then I send in with everybody. They block Svella and take 9. Go to 2 life. But then they keep all their creatures and they gain 7. They are gaining 7 life after this. I do like being able to make this a 4/1, though, so I think I'm just taking that, going down to 11. So if I'm equipping, I have 3 mana up to do something else. So I can't play any of these creatures if I'm equipping something here. Kind of think that I'm just sending in with the Ravager then. And we are going to take the trade. If I play the mob, I've got 1 mana up. That doesn't do anything. If I play the Hulk, I have 2 mana up, so I could play my Immersturm Raider, or I can make a Manalith and then play the Hulk. I like making a Manalith and then playing the Hulk, because then I'm at 7 mana, and it requires 8 mana to use Fella's ability, so if I top deck a land, I can use Fella's ability and just start casting stuff off the top for free. Look at the top 4 cards of your library, cast a spell from among them without paying its mana cost, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Alright, well there goes Fella. They know she's 1 away from going off, so that just seems like a real risky thing there. I kind of like just taking 7, just go to 4, whatever, smack them for 8. I'd probably chump block here, though. Bladewalker's only doing 1 more damage. Even with the hammer, I can just throw the hammer onto the Hulk instead. Got enough mana to play this, discard the land, draw a card, and play the mob, but then I'm not equipping the hammer anywhere, but then I've got a 2-1 to block their 7-7. Do I still have another Immersturm Raider in this deck? I think I do. I do not. Okay, we'll play the land then. Whatever. Doubt my opponent will be playing the Mind Rot here. So they get to grab a forest, throw it into play tapped, and then the third mode, all their creatures gain Death Touch. Their creatures are just a single 7/7 right now, so the Death Touch isn't going to matter currently. Another 5/5 Grizzled Outrider. Wow. I could double block to trade. Then I suit up my 4/4 with the Dwarven Hammer, send it in, and I trade there. Or I can just chump block with the 2/1. I like chump blocking with the 2/1 because I can move this hammer around to where I can attack with the Craven Hulk and then just block with the Haji Mob. I guess if they get a removal spell here, I take lethal if I do that. If I attack with both, 5 plus 7 is 12. That's not a lethal amount of damage to them. But then I have the mana up to just play a blocker. So I can do 13 here because of the ability on the mob. Alright. I trample over there. They're down to 7. We play a blocker. And might as well do the extra damage to them with Boast. They're down to 6 now. With this this Trample Hammer. Got some ways to try to get lethal next turn. They've got a Craven Hulk. Can't block alone, so I don't think they're sending in here. Awesome. Ooh, Demon Bolt. I'm definitely sending in with the Firewalker. I think I suit up the Firewalker. Yeah, and the Firewalker and the Mob, because the Mob can do 1 damage to the Outrider. We're definitely attacking both here. With the Demon Bolt and my Boast abilities, either one of my creatures can trade up into the Outrider, and I can be trampling over for lethal here if I'm lucky. If they just put the Hulk on the Firewalker, I just kill them with Trample. Unless they've got another card in hand. They've got 3 mana up. Let's see. Trample over for 6. That's exact lethal. Yeah, might as well throw 1 more damage up at the face. Because I don't have any more cards in hand, and this is going to die in combat, so... Is this, Ooh, destroy that, take 3, they go to... Oh, they don't. It doesn't even have Trample anymore. Oh, that was rough. Broken Wings. The main deck Broken Wings demolishing our soul there. Oh my god. Well, kind of have to attack here and try to draw into something. Otherwise, I'm chump blocking and going to 2. Oh my god. So I just die. Brutal loss there. That was a huge Broken Wings for our opponent. That was such... I'm actually mildly salty about that one. That was so sad. We fought through so many just 5/5 nonsense blockers. But in the end, Broken Wings is what did us in. Well, 3-2 here. We still got another chance at making it up. If I don't lose another game, we could make it to 7-2. I have pivoted from 0-2s into 7-2s before. It's always a possibility. We'll see what we get going on here. In round 6. Ooh, this is the first time I'm going to cast my Dragonkin Berserker. This was the awkward thing about the 2-drop green card, as I was saying before. Because it's more our splash and we have less green symbols, it is awkward to have early green cards in the deck. Opponent starts with a Plains. Ooh. 2 mana 2/2 first strike into a 3 mana 3/2 haste. Hoping for like an island into a Foretold card here. Swamp into Clarion Spirit is about the like scariest thing I could see here. That is the least acceptable thing I could see here, because a Clarion Spirit deck is going to be playing a lot of cheap early creatures, being relatively aggressive and casting 2 spells per turn. I really don't want to see that when I've got an aggressive start like this, because it just means they're going to have plenty of creatures to block all my dumb things. Well, drawing the forest for the Gladewalker is actually pretty nice here, because now I can throw a counter on the Berserker and attack in still here. Even if they double block, I get to first strike away the Grimjogger, and Clarion Spirit doesn't kill it. Because then Clarion Spirit just does 2 damage to it. So we hit for 3. Not bad. I don't think I wanted to play the 3/2 haste there. Maybe I should have played like the Firewalker instead. But I also like having a Changeling out, so that Basalt Ravager definitely does 2 damage to Clarion Spirit next turn, even if they cast a removal spell to kill my Dragonkin Berserker. We just definitely get to kill Clarion Spirit. That is an important target to kill. Stop them from spitting out a bunch of Flying Spirit tokens. Pass turn, 3 mana up. We're just going to go for the Ravager main phase and see what happens. If they have a removal spell for our Gladewalker, they can make it so it's only 1 damage. It is not the end of the world if they do that, and I think this is way better than any of my other plays if they don't have that, enough so that it's worth just going for it. Nice. All right. Get in with the first striker. Kings of the Cosmos to make it a 4/5 blocker. All right, that would have just surprise blocked and killed me at any point. Don't get to spit out a dragon if I hit my 5th land next turn, so hopefully I don't hit the 5th land, because then I couldn't have made a dragon anyway. Code Spell Cleric. Double spelling to make Draugr a 4/3. I have absolutely no reason to block him at 20. I'll just take it. They decide not to send it in. I didn't hit the 5th land to make a dragon anyway, so if I wasn't sending in that attack, I'm just sitting here doing nothing. Twiddling my thumbs. I've got a squash, but I can't squash and do something else. So I have to squash ready for the Draugr, but I don't even really get in against their field because the 2/1 just trades profitably into my 4/2, because it even spits out a blocker when they do that. Kind of like a 4/4 on this board. I think I'm just dropping that down in passing turn. Ascent of the Worthy. They make it so all of their damage is dealt to whichever creature that they choose twice in a row, and then they bring something back from their grave with flying. So this will be my first time ever seeing this card actually do the stuff and things. So we'll see how good this is. This is kind of weird because all damage that would be dealt to creatures they control is dealt to the Shieldmate instead. This actually makes my block way better than it would have been if they literally just didn't cast this card. Because now I can just chump block and kill their Shieldmate, which otherwise I would just be chump blocking and doing nothing. So this is literally just helping me here. So I can firmly say I don't think Ascent of the Worthy is very good. I don't want to squash anything until they return something from the grave to the battlefield. Return a creature from their graveyard to the battlefield with a flying counter on it, and then it's an Angel Warrior. Yeah, I definitely want to save squash to deal with that. They've got 2 1/1s here, so I definitely get to send in the Craven Hulk. I could even send in with both here. Whatever. Like, they could trade both, and that is kind of sad. I could squash to save the 4/2, but I don't think that's worth it. Yeah, I'm not going to squash at instant speed. Just holding it for the 3rd part of the saga. Let's just play a haster and go to town. Once that creature's dead, damage is just dealt properly, right? Okay, well, I mean, if they just take it all to the face, that's definitely dealt to the face. I can tell you that much. All damage is now dealt to the 1/1. The 1/1 human warrior, if I try to damage anything else. There's a Story Seeker with lifelink. Now I kind of want to squish that for lethal. I know that I was saying I was going to save squash for when they brought something back. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, it did a thing. Well, they get to keep the lifelink then, so this isn't lethal anymore. I just completely forgot about the effect on the card. Once I saw, I was like, if I can squish the lifelinker, I get in for 6 no matter how they block. Well, at least now I get to kill those things. And they're down to 2. They're still probably dead. They bring back probably the lifelinker here, actually, being at 2 life. If I hit 1 more land, I can throw the hammer on one of my creatures to give it trample. Yeah, they just gotta bring back the lifelinker and save everything to block, I think. Just trying to crack in for lethal. Don't have enough mana to play the hammer and equip it here because this land comes into play tapped, which is sad. If I attack with everybody, Story Seeker blocks a Berserker, gains 2 in trades. Craven Hulk blocks there in trades. They take 3 and go to 1. That's probably their best block, right? Looks like it to me. I'm hoping they don't have another card in hand. If they just block both of my 3/2s, they die, so they have to block Craven Hulk with something. So they gotta block Craven Hulk with their 5/4, 3/2 with their 2/2 lifelinker. Unless that one final card in their hand is pretty gas here. This attack is super solid. They go to 1 life. And then I play a big old trampling dwarf. So an embarrassing turn earlier, but now I'm fairly certain our opponent is just dead. Another Clarion Spirit from him, pretty solid. Just because I learned this can do damage to face, we're just going to do that. We're going to do that. Show that we learn from our past mistakes. Even though that past mistake worked out for us, because we ended up winning the game because I roped not knowing what to do. That was still a crazy game. So we're at 4 wins and 3 losses. Ascent of the Worthy. I think I still generally don't like that card, even though it did trick me. I tried to squish something when they still had the damage prevention shields on, which is just as awkward as it can get, really. All right, so we're actually at 4 wins and 2 losses now. So anything from now on is just gas, just straight value. This hand's a little weird. It does look a little floody, but I get to discard a land to the Immersturm Raider. And now I've just drawn into the perfect 3-drop to curve out Raider into Berserker into Craven Hulk. Opponent is foretelling a card on turn 2. Now I've drawn another 3-drop I could curve into if I want. I think I am discarding a land here to get closer to like my first forest, like so, for if I ever draw any of my green cards. Because even if I missed on my 4th land on turn 4, I could play Firewalker and then Berserker still. I could play 2 different 3-drops in a row. And I don't actually have a 5-mana card in my hand if they don't immediately kill my Craven Hulk, because my Hulk makes squash cost only 2, which is nice. So they've got a 1/4 flying blocker, so if I play just a Berserker here, they can just block that so it doesn't do anything. So we'll play the Firewalker instead. Because I'm definitely not attacking with a 2/1 into their 1/4, and attacking with a 3/2 into it doesn't actually damage them. They've got a Craven Hulk. Well, I think we're going to follow it up with our own Craven Hulk, because it gives us access to Squash next turn. So I can actually squash their Mistwalker and try to send in with the team. We'll see if they get another good creature out on this board, or if they just set up, play some draw spells or something. Bergstrider, that is another good creature on this board. Well, Craven Hulk can definitely block. Could it double block for the trade, but that seems bad. Basalt Ravager, we've got 2 Berserkers right now. I'd have 2 Giants, so Ravager does 2 damage to something, that's just not enough. Could just play a 3rd Berserker and pass. But even 3 damage from Basalt Ravager is still just not enough to do anything. We're not having a great time here. I could squash their Bergstrider, but then I'm only attacking in with 1 3/2 and it just gets blocked. Yet again, I'm back to that same attack that doesn't actually push in damage. I think I'm dropping the Berserker rather than holding up a squash. Here comes Craven Hulk again. Sure, do your thing, my friend. And an Augury Raven. Alright, that makes me feel happy about that play, because now if they don't have instant speed removal or a counterspell, Ravager gets to kill the Raven. But they may have a counterspell. Nope, we got to shoot down the Raven, and now I have a 4-power blocker for their Craven Hulk. Probably just attacking with my own Hulk here, really, because I have to double block to block with my Hulk. So I could block... I mean, then I have good blocks if they attack with both of their 4/4s. I guess I don't otherwise. I don't know, I feel like I've got the long game here, so I can probably afford to just do a different double block if they end up not taking the trade here. Mists of Litjara. Okay, so they just eat the 4/4. So they basically just use this as a removal spell. Spent that card to kill this card. Fair enough. Glimpse the Cosmos. Really solid in a deck with some giants in it, because you can cast that twice. Look at the top 3. Put 1 into your hand, the rest on bottom. They get to do it twice in a row for only 1 extra blue mana. Really, really solid card. There are a lot of shapeshifters in blue as well, so you don't even technically need giants. Alright, whenever they're playing more giants, they're putting a +1/+1 counter onto this little 2/2 thing. Definitely not that scary. It's not super likely to get that big. I think we're planning on trying to get a 5/5 Flying Dragon out of this Dragonkin Berserker, right? Dwarven Hammer's really good on this board too, because then I can just start sending in with my stupid little 2/1s, because then they start attacking in as 5/1 tramples, and they trade off with something every single attack. I kind of like that more than the Dragonkin Berserker here, because then I have Dragonkin Berserker as a backup plan. Because my field is already so wide that just the Dwarven Hammer, moving this around and giving things +3/+0, I can just keep whittling down their board with sending in with 1 trampler every turn, unless they're about to just kill my hammer. Okay, they're going to play a Graven Lore. Our opponent definitely has the card advantage here. They've drawn a ton of cards. I was worried because they were looking at the Dwarven Hammer that they were about to Riddle form it, which can exile an artifact. That would have been very sad if that were the case. Frostbite is a decent draw. I can kill their Bloodline Pretender before they play another giant, or in response to them playing another giant. I like just holding Squash and Frostbite up. Definitely just going to start sending in with my weakest creature every turn and then moving the hammer to the next weakest creature. Trade with the Mistwalker, sure. Seems solid. So I now got to trade a 2/1 up into their 1/4 that was impossible for my 2/1s to get into before, and now I just get to throw this on my next 2/1 and keep doing that every turn. This Dwarven Hammer is really going to put in work this game. I'm holding up Frost or a Squash. I will Frostbite on Bloodline Pretender if they cast a Giant, and I'll Squash if I really want to get a larger thing out of the way. Alright, Basalt Ravager is now a 1-2. They might be trying to get aggressive against me then if they're shutting off my 4-power blocker. That being said, I could block with my 5-1 and trade up that way too. Craven Hulk. Let me see if I get to kill the Bloodline Pretender in response. I do! Alright, I have stopped the +1/+1 counter from going on the Pretender. And I still have the Squash for another removal spell, if need be the case. 2 mana, they're foretelling a card. If they send in here... Okay, I was going to say, if they send in here, I'm just going to trade my Immershroom Raider up. Now I get to play another one and make that the 5-1 here. Alright. See if my 5-1 gets to trade up. It might just hit their face at this point, because now they have 3 4/4s to crack back with. Actually kind of like holding up Squash more than playing another creature here. Because I can move this hammer here so that I can trade up with my 3-2 with no relevant abilities, and I can hold up Squash to kill another 4/4, so I'm not just dying here if they have removal. It would take a lot of removal to just kill me, but they could force me into some bad chump blocks pretty easily with 12 power on their board. Frostbite, that's pretty bad for me. Means they're almost definitely getting in for an attack this turn. They're going to bind my Firewalker too. Yeah, they're really just trying to push in for lethal. So they're taking damage to do that. We'll squish their best giant, their Bergstrider. I can take 8 or I can chump 1. I'm going to chump 1, go to 8. And a Basalt Ravager to kill the Immershroom Raider. Real glad I chumped 2, because I would have went to actually 1 life if I didn't. Because they could shoot my face for 3 there after I took 4 more damage. Well, things are getting pretty scary here. I only get 1 blocker if I suit something up. This is actually devastating. I think I play... I have to play 2 blockers here, so I just play Svella. Svella can trade into their 4-2. And then I could play my Dragonkin Berserker, which could first strike away their 4-2, but I think if I play that, they just don't attack with it. So I'd rather play just like the 2-1, I think. Because I'm not going to attack in and make a dragon next turn. Sure, I can make a 5-5, but I can make a 5-4 next turn anyway for 5 mana without having to send one of my attackers in, or one of my blockers in. Oh dear. Opponent going off with the card advantage again. Double Glimpse the Cosmos, thanks to the Blue-Red Giants deck, having a bunch of Giants out. They've just drawn their best cards out of the top 6 of their library. Just absolutely brutal. And that's just lethal. Basalt Ravager for 4 damage. They really got the hookup. They got Blue-Red Giants and got access to double Glimpse the Cosmos, double Basalt Ravager? My lord. Double Basalt Ravager I feel like should be generally really hard to get in draft because there are plenty of non-giant decks that can use that card, like my Red-Green Berserkers deck, so opponent really got the hookup for sure there. Really sick deck. Well, it's perfectly reasonable to lose to that deck because they were definitely in the right strategy for their draft. So, pretty solid Kaldheim draft here. 4 wins and 3 losses. As always, thank you all so much for watching this draft video. If you want to see more of this content, stick around right where you're at. Like, comment, subscribe. I've got daily Kaldheim draft videos coming every day until there's some other fancy new format I want to try out on here. But, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again tomorrow.